I started in the fair. It was the year we were married. We was married in June, and I decided that I wanted to try some of my, what I want to say, education to see if I could actually win some prizes. I first really started in clothing, entering some of that, and then in dress reviews because I made a complete outfit for my husband, myself, and my son, because we only had the one at that time. And actually, I would go to the fair and I'd say, oh, I could do that, I could do that. So I entered there, and then I did cookies because Mother didn't do cookies. And I did nut breads because she didn't do nut breads, and there was a reason for this. I didn't want to be in competition with her. And yet, actually, she did yeast breads, and so she did cakes, and she did actually pies. And she said to me one day, she said, now, you've entered enough years without entering cakes and pies. I want you to enter pies and cakes. I don't want you to feel that we're in competition. We're going to be really proud of each other, whether we win first, second, third, fourth, or sweepstakes. I just want you to follow in my footsteps and carry on that tradition and legacy. Once I started making pies and winning on them, it was one of those things that I didn't want to not enter. I didn't always win first. I didn't always win, the grand prizes or anything, but pies are something that everyone enjoys eating. And when you make a lot of the pies at home and share them with other people, they just say, oh, there comes the pie lady with all of her things to the state fair. We enter every pie in every category, which is anywhere between 22 and 23 pies. Several of my recipes were handed down by my mother. She had already been baking some of those. She knew what was good and what wasn't. And so she would give me those recipes. And then a lot of times I would just go through cookbooks. Be honest with you, I mean, you should see the cookbooks that I have. I'd hate to count how many. I think the pie crust recipe is one of our secrets, and that's made from lard. I'm a lard person rather than Crisco. One of the other secrets that we've learned, of course, for the fair, it's always hard. You have to bake them in an aluminum pie pan. And those are one of the hardest pie pans to bake in to get the bottom of the crust done. So what we learned from experience was you take the aluminum pie pan and you take an ice pick with a piece of wood underneath it, and you just push holes every so often. That lets you get the bottom of your crust done. When I'm baking for home, I'll use Pyrex just because it's easier. When I run out of my Pyrex pie pans, then I use the aluminum pie pans too. I do bake my pies on the bottom shelf of your oven, because if you don't, then your bottom crust will not get done. I also have learned in the last few years, if you will put a cookie sheet underneath the pie, that also helps to make sure that your bottom of your pie is completely baked, because that's one of the first things they look for at the fair. They'll cut the pie, turn the pie over, and if the bottom of your crust has sog to it, they might as well put it aside because they won't go ahead and judge it. In my pie crust, when you read it, you'll find that it takes the flour, it takes the salt, it takes the shortening or the lard, and then I use 1/3 of a cup of cold water, an egg, which gives it the golden color, and a tablespoon of vinegar, which will make it flaky.
Tell us about the ribbons.
They asked me the same thing at the View. They said, oh, we want you to bring the ribbons with you. And I said, all of them? Yes. And I said, ma'am, I win probably 50 ribbons every year, and it would take a suitcase to bring all of my ribbons there, because we enter 35 items under my name and 35 items under my husband's name. And we're very fortunate to say that, we do win. I tried to decide what would I do with all these ribbons. Right now they're in a suitcase and in boxes. I don't know whether I could ever get anybody to help me make a quilt. 2 quilts, 3 quilts, something I could give the kids too.
You talked a little bit about Darrell helping out. How did he get involved?
He likes to cook, I'll put it that way. He is a blessing because he's learned how to do my crisscross tops. And he does them probably a little slower than I did because he's more of a particular person. But I think he just wanted to help because we love to do things together. We love to go places together. And since we've been married for 55 years, you know, you learn what each person likes and what the other one doesn't. But I didn't have to really just bag him. He just kind of helped out. He's my dishwasher too. He was always out there washing the dishes for me. The one thing I do a lot of now is helping 4-Hers. In fact, I just had my niece to contact me the other day, and she has to bake a loaf cake for 4-H. And she said, we need a good recipe. I said, I can help you out, and I'll give you some little tips on that. And then I had a neighbor over here that when they were in 4-H, shared my pie recipes that they would use for 4-H. And actually, they would call me up because, like you said, I was known as the pie person. I would encourage anyone and everyone to try once in a while to enter at the Indiana State Fair, because we that are older or those that have passed away, they need younger ones to do this. And even if they're in 4-H, they can enter at the Indiana State Fair Family Arts Building as long as they pay for their tickets, you know, to do that. And they can enter up to 35 items. Home economics in the high school today is not like when I was teaching. They don't get the basic information of, you know, making, baking, and the basic of sewing and child development. And I think it's great if they'll let their kids be in the kitchen. If they make a mess, so what? That's fine, you know. And teach them anything that they can as far as cooking is concerned.
Gratuitous.
He doesn't like, and he's a diabetic.
I'll just shoot a little more insulin.
Yeah, he does.